Hi, everyone. I'm so excited today to talk about classroom organization with my friend Kristin. She's going to share some insight to setting up a classroom and what you should really be doing as you're now stepping back into your classrooms, with all the things probably pushed to the side of the room so they could wax the floor or clean the carpets or whatever they were doing over the summer. Um, but I'm going to let Kristin introduce herself and kind of tell us like her background and her years of experience in the field. So hi, Kristin. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me on your show today, and welcome back to school, everyone. It's an exciting time of the year. So, a little bit about me. I've been in the education field for 19 years. I have done all different types of special education settings. I've done pullout, which is resource in some areas. I've done self-contained. I've done an autism coach where I traveled between schools and helped specifically with students with autism spectrum disorder. I've been an ESC specialist, which I guess some people also call case manager.
Mhm.
And currently, I am an inclusion specialist where I travel between schools in my district, helping students that have special needs get the services they need and things like that.
Yeah, you've got a wide range of experiences. Is there anything that you've been super drawn to and really love?
Basically anything where I am helping students succeed and helping students who need extra support get what
Mhm.
they need. It's my passion. It drives me.
Yeah, I can tell just based on your experiences. Like it seems like you're just like, I want to be here for the kids regardless of what they need. So I love that. I love that very much. So why do you feel like classroom organization is important in the classroom?
I think that there's several different reasons that classroom organization is important. Let's start with the fact that when everything has a spot and everything is organized, it helps your students. It helps their independent functioning. It helps you feel like you know where to find things when you need to grab them quickly, or when it's time to clean up, then everybody knows where everything goes and you limit the chaos and the clutter, and it just really helps everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it could save you so much time as
Yeah.
well. Like if everybody knows where the scissors are, like you can go get the scissors, an assistant can go get the scissors, your
Mhm.
students can go get the scissors, because they all know where it is and it's always in the same place. So I love that.
Right.
Um, so as we step into our classrooms, of course, like I said, the vision is there of like all the desks are stacked up, pushed to the side, or like in the hallway, and you have to move them all back in. Like, oh, I remember that feeling. It's just the worst. What is the first thing that you feel like teachers should organize every year?
Well, besides taking their desks down from being unflipped and back onto the floor,
Yep.
I think that classroom setup is very important. You need to think of the layout of where you're going to want everything set up in your classroom
Hmm.
before you can even think about organizing bins, like where your
Hmm.
pencils and things like that go. You need to have where the desks are going to go, where your teacher table is going to go, where your library is going to go, and your centers. All of those things need to be planned and prepped for and set up before you can start the intricate, detailed setup.
Yeah, I know for me, it's always really nice to see the physical space to know, like, okay, is this going to work to have a group area here? Or is this going to work? Do I have enough space for a teacher desk? Because there's been years that I've pulled out my own teacher desk and said, like,
Mhm.
I need more student space. So yeah, seeing the physical space sometimes really helps you stay focused. Because if I'm in a cluttered space, like I cannot work. So I'm sure there's lots of teachers that feel that same way that like my physical space needs to be at least somewhat maintained before I can continue on. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I agree
So,
with you 100%. I think that, first of all, if the teacher desk needs to be removed, I mean, typically we find ourselves working at our teacher table anyway, like our,
mhm,
student work teacher table,
yeah.
aside from the teacher desk. So if that's just taking up space, take it out. If your space isn't organized and you have nowhere to set your computer or go through your
Mhm,
IEPs, then that's a whole nother problem too. So
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So now that we're talking a little bit about IEPs and like paperworky stuff, like the stuff that we kind of need in the classrooms, how do
Mhm.
you organize keeping all of your like student records and confidential files?
So I actually organize them in a couple different ways. I have an IEP binder that has, I mean, everything in it.
Hmm.
So that everything is right there at your fingertips.
Yep.
But that's more like my copy. So I have the binder where I have everything that I need. And then I also have individual student, folders as well, so
Mhm.
that all of their, data and everything that they have is in that folder too.
Mm.
So I think having both really helps you stay organized, stay focused, and have it at your fingertips in a spot where you need it when it's necessary.
Yeah. Do you have all of the student data in there as well?
I do. I have like the current student data and then it transfers over to their individual folders.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really helpful to kind of keep that. And I agree. I think having that separate, like a master binder of all their IEPs, medical plans, all the detailed information is great. But then yes, having a separate student individual folder, binder, whatever you need to have
Mhm.
so that students can like you can quick pull it, use it for data collection, or like I know sometimes a student at a glance is in there with their
Mhm.
accommodations list, so those like quick checks that it's like a smaller, more concise, more individualized folder binder. I love that. Very
And
cool.
even within the binder too, I think it's important to have it tabbed so that and color coded. I like color coding. So
Yeah.
tabbed and color coded so that if I'm looking for specifically accommodations, flip right to it. If I'm
Yes.
looking specifically for the data I'm collecting, flip right to it. I think if you just, okay, it's all in a binder, that's not going to
No.
help you as much as knowing exactly where to go.
Yes, getting different colors for different tabs. Yes, I know the price does add up as you have 10, 12, 15 students.
Mhm.
But it does really help when every student's red is going to be their data collection. Every student's, blue tab is their personal information or family contacts.
Right.
And it's all there for them. Does that binder folder travel with that student, or do you still just keep it stored in the classroom?
So it depends on different ways. Well, for my self-contained students, we had like data binders and they would travel from one teacher to the next, and you would have
Mhm.
all that information in there for the next teacher.
Yeah.
When I was resourced typically from grade to grade, it was always me. So I kept it in my room. But certain things, go to the school's cumulative folder. So we would do it
Mhm.
that way as well.
Okay, yeah, so there's lots of different ways that you could do it. I've seen it both ways as well. That's why I figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
All right, so now as we've gotten into like the big stuff, organizing our furniture, now the IEPs, of course, the legal stuff that we need to have make sure we have access to. What about student materials? How do you like to organize like, their glue sticks, their pens, their rulers, the paper, fidgets, all of like the student material type things?
So I like to make sure everything is organized together. I like it labeled. I like it easy to access and easy to see. I prefer to use like the clear bins. Like let's say we have, all the glue sticks in one area, all the scissors, all the,
Mhm.
anything that they would need access to easily is in a bin, clearly labeled where they know where to find it. I also like to have little tubs. So, like easy access tubs, maybe like this table gets the green tub or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And they have just enough materials for that table in that tub so that we can have table tubs as well, but then like a whole bin of refillable, glue sticks and things like that. I also think that it's important that each center has the materials that you're going to need at that center, so that they're not having to go to the
Mhm.
main glue stick area because they needed a glue stick at that center. Not only is that distracting for the student that's doing the work, also for the other students, but also it takes away time from the task that they should be completing while they're at centers. So I
Mhm.
think that having everything where you need it, when you need it, as well as easily labeled, identified so that they can use it is super important.
Yeah, no, I completely feel the exact same way. I would always have each individual student would have their own like hard pencil case of
Mhm.
materials. But yes, glue sticks run out, scissors go missing, things happen. So part of the organization process that my paraprofessionals would do is kind of walk around the room every morning or every couple mornings and just make sure like everybody has like an active glue stick. And if it's getting low and we can kind of tell, like maybe throw an extra one in there because it does save you that time over time. So.
It does, and making sure that there's pencils that are sharpened, because
Yes.
if every time they go to use a pencil, it's not sharpened, it's, you
Hmm.
know, that
Yes.
takes time out too.
Backups are so helpful. So
Yes.
helpful. So, all right. So now let's talk about lesson plan organization because I feel like sometimes people are like, I am totally digital lesson plan organized or like totally paper organized. Where do you kind of fall?
It's funny because I've done it both ways as well.
Mhm.
Um, I do like a printed copy of my lesson plans, and I like to keep them in that mega binder that I have
Yeah.
under their own tab. I do them digitally, but typically I'll have a copy printed because I feel like it's easier to find. And if you needed to like quick look at something while you were, transitioning between activities, you can quickly glance at it as opposed to going and pulling it up on your computer. But I do think it's nice to keep it on your computer because things change. And let's face it,
Mhm.
sometimes you're going to have to reorganize what you're doing. You could always cross it out in your lesson plan book, but I think I personally keep both.
Yep. I was the exact same way too. There was moments that I was like, okay, here's the link to a slide deck that I was going to use for morning meeting, but like I need that digitally to like be there. But like then I when I printed it, it was always really nice because then if I did need to take an emergency day off or like I just wasn't
Mhm.
coming in, like it's right there. It's literally on my desk. It's printed. It kind of gives you a general outline, maybe not fully exactly to its full potential, but like a typical outline of like this is station one, this is station two, or these are the topics we are going to cover. So that was really helpful for either my paraprofessionals or the sub to come in and kind of just get a quick glance of where it was.
That's what I was going to say too. It's, your paras need to be able to see, what's going on throughout the day too. So if it's printed, everyone just can see it. It makes
Yeah.
it a lot easier.
Yeah, and it was always really kind of helpful when I would just like throw something crazy and be like, "So we're gonna use shaving cream today," and they're like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like,
What are we
"Yes,
doing?
this is what we're doing, and here's the change. Okay, I have to prepare my assistants for the change, but then okay, prepare the students for the change." So then having it written out was like, "Hey, I can make a couple copies and show you like exactly like what my thought process is of why we're using shaving cream today."
Right.
So. What other tips and tricks do you have for classroom organization that we might not have not talked about yet?
I mean, we pretty much have covered the major areas. I think just making sure that your physical space is organized, that everything has a place, that you don't have too much teacher clutter, that your students, your parents, everyone in the room knows where your things go. Um, a lot of times, for either your younger students or your students who need additional support, having their items color coded. I've done that, with our students that need that additional support. They know that if their color is blue, then everything is blue.
Hmm.
I think that helps not only with your organization, with their independent functioning. I think that just helps in general as well,
Hmm.
to keep your classroom flowing and running as best as it can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Of course, if anybody watching has any questions, you are welcome to comment below. We'll make sure to get an answer for you. If it's not for me, I'll make sure Kristen can answer it for you. But do you have any extra resources, materials, or like places that we could find you so that if people want to connect with you, they can?
Sure, absolutely. I actually have that IEP binder that I live by, that you can find on my site or in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. You can reach out to me at specialeducationclubhouse.com. That's my website where you can find all things special education or find me on social media at Special Education Clubhouse.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather.